Hey guys, my name is Shrish. So this is the iPad 7 generation, the cheapest offering from Apple in the iPad lineup. Now I know a lot of you guys might be curious as to why did I exactly buy this one? Why so late? Like it's been quite some time since this thing was launched. So I definitely didn't buy this for the sake of reviewing. I bought this for personal use. Now I wanted a computer or a laptop and also a smartphone because apparently I don't have any smartphone right now. My phone, it's being used by my mom. So yeah, I wanted something that could give me the best of both worlds, and it was a no-brainer that this thing gives you the best of both worlds. Now I've been using this iPad for a few days now, and it has surprised me in a lot of aspects actually. For starters, it has this constant smoothness everywhere in the user interface or in the applications. I did not expect that because the chip that's used inside this processor is not really as powerful as the latest gen Apple chips. And on the other hand, there's the display, which I thought wasn't simply going to be good considering the price tag. Now, this thing costs just about 30,000 rupees in India and $329 in the US, which is relatively cheaper from Apple standards. Because if you think of Apple, you think of the super high-end MacBook Pros that they release, you think of the super high-end computers that they release, you think of the iPhones, which not a lot of people can afford. And then there's the price tag of this thing, which doesn't quite scream Apple, but then it's an Apple product and it's so good even for the price point. I don't think a lot of people actually talk about the iPad 7 generation. A lot of people sort of tend to overlook this particular product, but I think this is by far the most value for money product that Apple produces, even in India. Now, right after I unboxed the product, right after I held the iPad in my hand, I did feel a subtle touch of premium quality in the product. That's because of the build. Like this thing has the aluminum body, which I think is both sturdy and stunning to look at the same time. But frankly speaking, for a person who has never really used an iPad or a tablet in his life, this thing is actually a bit heavy. Now, when I started using, the first few hours were actually a little bit uncomfortable for me to hold the iPad in the hand because I just thought that this is too heavy for someone like me. But then after like 4 to 5 hours, I got pretty used to it, and now I can comfortably use it with just one hand. Obviously, I can't do it for extended hours. At some point, I'll have to keep it down probably, or I'll have to use both my hands. But it's pretty obvious why it is heavy. It has a very gigantic battery inside it. It has the aluminum body, and overall, it's a large product. So it's pretty obvious that it was going to be heavy. Something I did not anticipate. But if you're buying this, see that's coming to you. Now, speaking about that display, even though it is not laminated, so you can probably see the gap between the screen and the actual display, even though it doesn't have the anti-glare protection or anti-glare coating, it actually is really good panel for the price. Especially for the price of 30,000 rupees, this is by far the best display panel I've ever seen. And that also includes some smartphones as well, smartphones with actual AMOLED display panel. I mean, this thing is better. I mean, I guess it's an unpopular opinion to rate this display higher than some AMOLED display panels, but that's just my opinion, and I feel that the display on this thing is really good. It gets really bright, especially if you work outdoors and if you are planning to use it outdoors for majority of your part. This display is going to be no issue for you. Then another aspect which actually surprised me of the iPad is the speaker quality. Now, the speaker quality is really good. It's really loud, first of all, and then it has no distortion even at higher volumes, which definitely makes it very crucial for media consumption. Now, in terms of battery life, the first few hours were actually absolutely heavenly. The screen on time I was getting was absolutely ridiculous. Like, even for a device that has like 8,000 something battery capacity, it was huge. Like, the battery life was really ultimate, to be honest. But then after I cluttered the iPad with a lot of applications, when I loaded a lot of games, when I stored a lot of data in the iPad and sync was on, I realized that now it's showing some sort of degrade in terms of battery life. Now, it's still pretty early to give a verdict or to actually judge the iPad when it comes to the battery life, because I've been using this just for roughly 4 to 5 days now. But still, it looks pretty promising. But even after the degrade thing that I spoke about, after adding a lot of applications, it still gets me through a day. Most of the times it gets me through 1.5 days, I guess. And that's actually pretty impressive. And when you look at this as a computer, this sort of battery life is actually impressive because not a lot of times you're going to have a charger right with you. And then about the charger and the charging times, well, the charging times are actually pretty slow, and that's sort of understandable because this thing has a very large battery sitting inside it. And secondly, the charger as well, it's I guess a 10 watt charger. I'm not entirely sure, but overall the charging is pretty slow, and that's understandable. But one thing is for sure is that if you charge this device overnight, which I do, you're going to be covered for the next day for sure without any issues. So battery life and charging time overall as a combination is no issue at all. At least it doesn't seem so right now. And then speaking about the software, the aspect which actually makes this device worth buying. Now, as an Android fanboy, I absolutely hate to say it, but yes, in terms of optimizations, in terms of general experience or user experience, iOS or the general Apple software or iPadOS is better than Android. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a part of me who likes Android, and I'll still probably be an Android fanboy because I like the flexibility and the overall freedom that you get on Android. But then there's the other part of me who likes, in general, a very stable experience, who craves for that, cleaner and in general a very stable experience. And this thing actually provides you with that. Now, this iPad has got the A10 Fusion chip, which is based on 14 nanometer technology. And it is actually pretty old if you look at where we are right now, because it was released back in 2017, I guess. But then there's the iPadOS, which takes it to a whole next level. It's just like the software on this thing utilizes or gets the most out of the hardware that the iPad actually has. Now, the primary reason why I bought this iPad is because I wanted it for some work-related stuff, like basic stuff, like scripting my videos, researching about the video topic or the video that I'm about to cover, watching YouTube videos on the go, just to see what's trending or what's popping in the community, and then some media consumption as well. And for that, this actually performs better. And that's the reason why I bought the very base variant. I did not go for the higher end variants of the iPad. I did not go with iPad mini or iPad Air. But then again, if you intend to do all the heavy stuff that you probably want to do on your computer on this thing, like let's say video editing or photo editing, like actually you can do photo editing on this thing as well, like on the iPad 7 generation. But if you intend to do like really heavy stuff, then you should probably consider getting the iPad Air. I think that's way better, because it's better than the iPad 7 generation in terms of specifications. In fact, my suggestion is that if you're getting the iPad 6 generation for somewhere around 20,000 Indian rupees, go for that one. You don't need to get this one. The last time I checked it, the iPad 6 generation was selling for 27,000 rupees, and that's ridiculous, because I've seen a lot of people get it for 22,000 rupees, and for that price I think you can go for the older iPad 6 generation. So yes, if your usage is basic, if you want a computer where you will just carry out your basic work like presentations, Word, or you get the point, all the basic stuff, and you intend to do a little bit of photo editing or video editing on the go, just basic, not the high-end video editing, then you should probably consider this thing. It's actually worth every penny in my opinion, because even though it doesn't have super high-end specifications, for the price I think this is absolute steal deal. Like, this is the hidden gem that no one really talks about. So yeah guys, that's it for this video. I hope this video helped you in some way or the other. If it did, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.